Welcome back to the next episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation Next tournament here on the HomeBoiz channel. Today we have Brron, the Mad King of Dark World, going up against Aster Phoenix. So looking at Bron's deck, obviously I think he's going to have a very easy one-sided turn one loss because of all the brick potential with the Wicked Cannon and all the Sinister Doctrines. He has some sort of potential to set up a loop with Grafa, a quote-unquote loop, but there's just too many bricks in here in a 46 card deck for him to be effective in the first round. So it's really going to come down to round 2 and potentially round 3 where he gets access to the Layer of Darkness. And even though we've seen him sided in one of his duels, we haven't seen it actually pop off as a virus deck or as a tributing deck, because I don't believe we've seen him draw into the Layer of Darkness field spell or the Lady of Lament. He's just drawn into more of his Dark World creatures, and that was just about it. So if he can get into that, I would say it's game over for Aster, because he doesn't have very hard counters to this. He'd be in a very, very rough situation. But let's take a look at his opponents. So when I think of what he has to potentially counter the Layer of Darkness deck, the only thing I can think of is Plasma, but Plasma works very, very differently with its anime effect, because it can negate all of his opponent's cards, but he has to have the D-Force on the top of his deck. So it's gonna be very inconsistent. It's not a side deck that revolves specifically around getting straight to that. He does have some other Plasma options and support, but it's really just a matter of how quickly can he get to the D-Force and to Plasma. Although, even though this is a 50 card deck, he does have the potential to thin quite a bit, since he does get really, really low. He can get to 20 cards left fairly quickly, honestly, with all the searching and drawing that goes on in his deck. So there's that potential. I would say his second greatest potential in dealing with the Layer of Darkness, Dark World, is also the D Tactics trap card. If he could manage to get one before he summons one of the big 3, then that would put him in a phenomenal position. He does have a lot more options of recovery, where the Dark World, I believe, doesn't have any outside of that quick play spell, and I don't remember off the top of my head if it's even in the deck. However, he has recovery with not D-Fortune, but with Destiny Mirage here, which would allow him to get back Destiny heroes who died to a card effect. So I don't know, there's a little bit of something here. Destiny and Dragoon is a good option if he gets Fusion Destiny, since it can revive, and then you have Dystopia, who has a lot of really good protection built in as well. So we'll see how he does, and let's move on to the duel. Round 1 between the two dark duelists, with Brron taking the very first move, already a brick with the Crimson Nova, but he's going to open up with Dark World Dealing. So both players draw one and then discard one, and he got into Grafa right away. So when he has a Dark World on his field, he can send it back to his hand in order to summon Grafa with 2700 straight out of the grave. Not a bad opening, all things considered, and he ends with one other set card. Aster is going to start off even stronger, not only getting the draw from Dark World Dealing, but getting Pot of Greed into Destiny draw. So with that, he's going to throw away the Dread Servant, holding on to Plasma. Honestly, really, really smart. But Plasma cannot be at full power in the first round because D-Force is in the side deck. However, he's going to go ahead and use Over Destiny in order to summon out Disc Commander straight out of his deck, since it's a level 1. Really nice target there. And he's going to poly the Destiny Hero Malicious with the Disc Commander into Dystopia. So now Dystopia is going to be able to do 800 points of damage to Brron without even going into the battle phase. And now we have Dr. D banishing the Dread Servant in order to summon another Destiny Hero straight out of the grave. Of course, he's going to pick Disc Commander, who will now draw him another 2 cards. So what is that already? That's 7 cards deep through his deck. That's actually crazy. And it's going to be 8 once he uses the ability of Destiny Hero Malicious, banishing himself in order to summon a second copy straight out of the deck to the field. Now he's going to normal summon Destiny Hero Captain Tenacious in attack mode, very bold, and he's going to use all 3 of them for the Destiny Hero Plasma. Plasma will absorb Grafa, the Dragon Lord, and now Malicious will activate once more, summoning a final copy out of his deck, and I believe that's 34 cards left in his deck out of 50 that he started with, 45 if you don't count the hand. And we're going to see him go into, now with the Malicious and the Fusion, go into Extra Hero Cross Crusader, who will revive the Destiny hero Dystopia, it's honestly kind of a wonder why he didn't revive the Disc Commander and get another 2 cards, but with everything going on and with what's in his hand, I fully understand why Dystopia would be the better bet here. He basically gets a free 1600 and trading the malicious off for it, so very phenomenal play. And we're going to see Cyclone Blade activate here, which will allow, I believe Dystopia is equipped to destroy spells and traps that are on the field after it's done attacking. And Brron only has 1 face down, and surprise, surprise, it actually can't do anything. So Dystopia is going to blow up the Forces of Darkness. There goes the bluff. He's going to swing in with Cross Crusader for 16 and 3250 with Plasma. And this is a 1-turn kill on Aster's first turn. What an incredible first round. I didn't expect that sort of defeat, even with everything that was going on in the players' hand. But hopefully Brron can turn things around for himself in this round where he's going first, opening up by summoning himself to the field and no other cards. I don't know if I jinxed it or what. Meanwhile, Aster's going to not only set a face down, but he's going to discard Dreadmaster for the Destiny draw, going into D formation. So now it'll get a counter whenever the D heroes get destroyed, and he'll be able to summon multiple copies of a monster later down the line. We're also going to see Celestial hit the field, which can destroy equipped cards, but it's not stronger than Brron, but it's an attack mode for a reason. We're going to have to just wait and see what that reason specifically is. Bron's going to set a card and swing in with himself, and he triggered D counter just like I suspected, blowing himself up, unfortunately. So his field is now wide open, but he's going to go into the Gates of Dark World. So now by banishing a fiend from the graveyard and throwing one away from your hand, you can draw an extra card. So Brron is banished, Silva gets discarded, and Brron draws. And now since Silva was discarded, it summons itself to the field. Gates of Dark World also gives all fiend monsters 300 extra attack and defense. And since Aster runs a warrior deck, Aster will not be receiving said bonus. Dark Scheme's going to activate, which allows both players to throw away 2 cards and then draw 2 cards, but this effect can and will be negated by Aster if he throws away a single card in his hand. Oh, I apologize. I paused it too early. They both choose to discard, so he ran the risk of allowing more Dark World abilities to pop off just to get the extra draw, and he draws into 2 face downs in exchange for 2 monsters that he could have used. So we're going to see if he's going to regret that decision. It is a better payoff than it could have been, considering Brron didn't have more Dark Worlds to throw away at that specific point in time. So Malice, Lady of Lament, is going to hit the field from the grave thanks to charge into a Dark World, also throwing away Ceruli as it leaves. And since Ceruli was thrown away, it'll summon itself to the opponent's field in defense mode and force Brron to throw away a card in his hand. And when Rainbow gets thrown away by a card on your opponent's field, Rainbow summons himself and destroys all monsters or all spells and traps. And it looks like he decided to clear that really deep back row. He had some good stuff going on. D Fortune could have ended the turn when he gets attacked directly, and he had 2 D shields to make 2 Destiny heroes invincible in battle. Unfortunately, Aster's going to get run over here and take massive damage, sitting just barely above half-life. And now, using the Gates of Dark World, he not only gets a new trap card, but he gets Lucent's Netherworld of Dark World on the field. So he has 3 monsters with over 2,500 attack points, and he's going to use Deck Devastation Virus, sacrificing one of said strong monsters to destroy all monsters Aster has on the field and in the hand with 1,500 or less, including all 3 monsters that he draws for the next 3 turns, while the virus is still activated, leaving Aster with nothing to play. And since he used the virus, now here is Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. I was complaining about the virus, it's not popping off. Here they are. Aster has nothing that he can use, so he has to end his turn, and now Brron is just showing off. Obviously, he doesn't need to do this whatsoever. Aster has nothing to work with. He doesn't even have grave effects, I don't think. But Graphic back on the field, and Brron takes the second round. The final round between Aster and Brron, with Aster taking the first move once again. We're going to see him activate D formation, so it'll gain counters whenever D heroes get destroyed, and he'll be able to use its ability later. And then we're going to see him normal summon the Destiny hero draw hand before passing turn. Nothing too crazy actually, and no defenses to protect him. Brron, on the other hand, is going to be normal summoning Ceruli in attack mode and also setting a face down, so very, very unusual turns from both of them, except for Brron, he's going to be activating the Crush Card Virus, sacrificing Cerulli in order to destroy all monsters in Aster's field and hand for the next 3 turns that have 1500 or less attack points whenever he draws one. So Crush Card Virus is going to get rid of that draw hand on the field, giving a counter to the deformation. And now that it's the standby phase, you know, activation timing was a little bad there. Draw Guy's effect will activate from the grave, summoning itself right back and giving both players a draw. And it looks like Aster got a trap card, so it will be safe from the virus. He also has the Swords of Revealing Light now, so even though Draw Guy isn't the most powerful creature, the swords will protect him from 3 whole turns of Bronze shenanigans, we shall call it. Direct attack for 1600, and during Bronze standby phase, we're going to see D Tactics activate here. So during both standby phases, all Destiny heroes now will gain 400 attack points, and on top of that, whenever a level 8 or higher Destiny hero or Destiny and Dragoon is summoned, Aster can banish a card from Bron's field. I believe he can also banish a random card from the hand or banish a card from the graveyard as well. And when it does get destroyed, he can get a Destiny hero to the hand straight out of the deck. So very formidable card here. On the opposite side, Bron's going to be activating his own formidable card in the Gates of Dark World, which will allow him to throw away fiends from his hand, banish fiends from the graveyard, and draw his card every time he uses it. And we're going to see that happen here. Cerulli's going to get banished, and then Snow is going to get discarded, letting him draw, and Snow getting discarded lets him search for a Dark World card. So he's going to grab the Dark Corridor, which has the effect of being treated as a Dark World card at all times. Activating it will allow him to search for another Dark World monster and then throw a card away, and by throwing away gold, it summons itself straight out of the graveyard. 2300 attack. So the D Tactics strategy did not end up helping out too much here. We're going to see Gren get normal summoned as well for whatever the reason may be. 2 set cards, and that is turn 1 of Swords. But on Aster's second turn, we're going to see the D Tactics bump up draw hands to 2400, making it officially stronger than Gold's original attack. However, I had forgotten, and I apologize, about Gates of Dark World's other effect, which gives Fiend monsters an extra 300, so it's not quite there yet, but during Bron's next turn, it definitely will have surpassed it. We're going to see Terraforming get activated here, allowing Aster to grab into the Clock Tower Prison. So, as I've repeated before, Clock Tower Prison will put 4 counters on itself over the course of Bron's next 4 turns. When it hits 4, Aster no longer takes battle damage. But before we can get into any of that, Bron's going to use a second Crush Card Virus here to get rid of this Draw Guy once and for all, sacrificing the Gren Tactician, which luckily for him, Gren's attack is low enough that even the boost of the gates won't actually affect its ability to be compatible with this trap. So there goes the Draw Guy, that's the second counter, and now more cards are being activated in response. So, since a trap card was used, Brron can actually use Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair, to summon itself to the field since it tributed a dark monster. Then, in response to its own activation, he's also going to chain the Forces of Darkness, giving him 2 Dark World monsters from the graveyard back to the hand. It looks like he chose Snow and Gren, Snow being able to search and Gren being able to destroy spells and traps. Now here is the 3000 Darkest Diabolos, and he has 2 very, very powerful monsters. Aster was very lucky to draw into the swords when he did. By the time it's expired, the Clock Tower will have 2 of its 4 counters, and he will only need to really defend himself for 1 more turn hence after, because then he will be almost impenetrable defensive wise. Bron's turn, nothing's really going to happen for either player. Swords is now expired as I said it would, and luckily Aster opens up with the Pot of Greed spell card. Now I am very, very curious why he's been holding on to Destiny Draw. He has Malicious, which is a perfect target, and playing Pot of Greed first actually kind of just risks every turn that you wait in general, risks you drawing into another Malicious. I think that that's a bit of a misplay there, but I digress. We're going to see Pot of Greed here, and since he drew Destiny Hero Decider, it will fall victim to the Crush Card Virus being destroyed. So he does get to keep the Diamond Dude. He's going to summon it in attack mode 1400, and the card he flipped over was a normal spell, so it gets sent to the graveyard, and its ability can be activated during Aster's next turn. However, D-Force can only really be activated from the hand, so therefore he gets rid of a card from his deck that might not have been useful to him but he does not gain any of its abilities. But we are going to see Destiny Draw finally pop here, throwing out the Malicious, and Malicious can actually crack from the graveyard to summon another one out of the deck, and we're going to see the Cross Crusader combination happen here once again. 1600 attack points. It's going to revive the Diamond Dude this time. Diamond Dude will use its ability once more, revealing a monster. Very unfortunate, but Malicious is going to hit the field for the final time and get sacked by the effect of Cross Crusader to search for a D hero, and he searches Plasma. So now it is unfortunate that D-Force was sent to the graveyard, because with D-Force, the anime Plasma gets additional abilities, but it's still a very, very great monster. We're going to see Dr. D banish the final Malicious from the graveyard to summon Destiny Hero Decider, since their level is lower than Malicious, and with 3 monsters, he can sacrifice them for Plasma. Now, although Plasma has just barely over half of the attack that Darkest Diabolos has, Destiny Hero Plasma not only triggers the D tactics, which is going to banish the Gates of the Dark World, but Plasma himself has a powerful ability, and it looks like he's going to go ahead and steal the gold instead of the Darkest Diabolos. So your opponent cannot target Darkest Diabolos with card effects, but luckily for Aster, gold should get him just barely over that, making him 3050 attack, doing 50 points of damage right to Brron and getting over the Darkest Diabolos, making it even stronger every turn thanks to the ability of said D tactics. Bron's going to set 2 face downs and set a monster before passing turn, and once again, oh my god, a third Crush Card Virus. Immediately after the previous one finally expires, the face down monster was Gren. He ended up getting another Crush Card, so there goes Plasma and gold, and since he tributed a dark monster, Darkest Diabolos will revive itself from the grave, and it could potentially swing in for 3000 here. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. I guess he decided just not to. I couldn't tell you what happened there. Dark Smog's going to activate here, and he's going to go ahead and throw away a Fiend monster to banish a monster in Aster's graveyard, and it looks like he has a response. No. Okay. I apologize for missing that, but something went back to Aster's deck in response. D-Force is there. There we go. So D-Force is on the top of the deck now, and it looks like he was able to use it thanks to the ability of Diamond Dude. So now he will no longer be able to draw cards. It's interesting how he chose now to be the time to hinder himself, actually. We're going to see D cubed hit the field, and now Deformation's effect is going to activate here. Since he summoned it, Deformation with 2 counters will allow him to grab 2 more copies of D cubed, shuffling the Deformation. Very interesting play there, actually. I almost wonder if using Deformation was an accident and he rectified it using the Deformation. D-Force, excuse me, might have been an accident. But moving on, that is turn 1 of the Crush Card Virus. Back over to Brron, and this is the 4th turn of the Clock Tower Prison, so his life points are now officially safe. But this Dark Smog trap card is going to get very, very dangerous. It can be incredibly detrimental to the Destiny Hero strategy, and Rafa got discarded, so it will be destroying the field spell Clock Tower Prison there. But it did manage to get its 4th counter before it got destroyed. So here comes Destiny Hero Dreadmaster, and it will revive 2 Destiny heroes and destroy all non-Destiny heroes on the field. Also, D Tactics is triggered since Dreadmaster's a level 8, so Diabolos is now removed from the game. D Cube dies since it's not a D hero, and we're gonna only see Diamond Dude hit the field because of Dark Smog banishing the other potential summon targets. But Dreadmaster gets a boost off of the boosted heroes, so it's a very dangerous combo to see here with that trap card. We're gonna see Kren get normal summoned again. That's definitely a very dangerous sign. And because there's a Dark World on the field, you can send it back to the hand to bring Grafa back. So we see that there's 2 Dark Dragons in the deck that just love summoning themselves. Grafa's going to attempt to swing over Dreadmaster, but Aster had D counter, which destroys the attacking monster. Then Brron is going to respond by summoning Lady Lilith of Lament. Tongue twister for you right there. It's going to sacrifice itself and pick 3 normal trap cards from the deck, and 1 will randomly get added to the hand. or set to the field, my apologies. So now he has 2 back row to worry about, and getting rid of Gren, he's going to activate Dark Smog. There goes Cross Crusader. There's not a lot of monsters left in Aster Phoenix's graveyard. There's only D-Cubed now, and Gren being thrown away can destroy a spell or trap on the field. So there goes D-Tactics. I believe it got one last boost off before it got destroyed, and since it did get destroyed, he gets to search for a hero. So there is Destiny Hero Dogma. Aster's gonna summon Doomlord and switch Diamond Dude to attack mode. Now Diamond Dude with 22 is a very deadly monster, and that is hilarious that it flipped over another D-Force. I don't know what the odds of that are, but you love to see it. We're gonna see direct attacks for some major damage, and before Brron would die to the Dreadmaster, he flips over the Gateway to Dark World, which will summon a Dark World from the graveyard. We're gonna see Grapha hit the field. I would assume that he was saving that for his own turn so he could revive Grapha with its ability, but it's gonna have to die here. No cards left. Aster's found ways to deal with the ability of Crush card and not lose any massive pieces. We're going to see Brron summon himself for the top deck in order to revive Grapha. And I just now noticed Aster hasn't lost a single life point. Absolutely ridiculous. He's going to attack the Diamond Dude. Finally, 500 points of damage. Diamond Dude goes down, and that significantly shrinks the Dreadmaster, bringing him down to only 1400 because the boosts from D-Tactics are actually permanent, and he gets 600 from Doomlord, so that means that he got 2 total boosts for a grand total of 800. We're going to see D-Cube get normal summon so that they can sacrifice all 3 monsters, and Aster can bring out his final level 8 Destiny Hero Dogma. Now, Dogma does have the ability during every one of Bron's turns to cut his life points in half. It's going to run over the Grapha for 700, leaving him with 2850, and the virus is finally expired. Potentially the last virus, but that was 3 crush cards in a row, and we're going to see his life get cut all the way down to quick maps 1425. But in response to that, Bron's going to be using the Dark Scheme. So Aster can either throw away a single card in his hand to negate this trap, or they can both throw away 2 and then draw 2. The obvious choice is to only throw away 1 card. We're going to see what decision he makes, though. Maybe he wants some better cards in his hand to deal with whatever's coming up next. He decides to throw away just the D-Cube since he doesn't need it, and there we go. Dark Smog's going to get rid of that Dreadmaster there. Beige can special summon itself in defense in order to bring back Grapha. Kind of pointless, kind of not. I mean, you still get to deflect one attack using it as a body. Dogma is going to be swinging over the face-down Brron, and back to Bron's turn. Dark Smog first is going to get rid of, oh my god, so many effects activating back and forth. Dark Smog is going to be getting rid of Doomlord so that it can't come back and send things to the future. We're going to see a lot of activated effects here, and Dogma is going to be shrinking Brron down to 713 now. I don't believe I've ever seen those kind of life points before. Dark World Dealings is going to do nothing, actually. I guess he doesn't want to risk throwing away his top deck in case it's not a monster. It looks like Dark Smog accomplished nothing because Aster drew another Doomlord anyways. He's not allowed to attack, but now Grapha will leave the graveyard for 2 turns, the field included, so that's hilarious. We're going to see the Dark Smog Dogma reaction go off once again, leaving Brron at 357, and Snow was discarded, so there is another Grapha. Now we see Dark World Dealings throwing away said Grapha, and since it was discarded, it can destroy a card on the field, targeting Destiny Hero Dogma, and it does die. Now, by sending the beige that was on his field back to the hand, Grapha revived itself. 2700 Dragon staring down a 600 attack Doomlord. It's gonna normal summon beige. Beige swings, and we see Aster flip over D-Shield. D-Shield can take a Destiny hero, switch it into defense, and make it invincible in battle. So Brron has no way of doing any damage to Aster so long as Doomlord is in defense mode, and yes, it can continue to use its ability. However, it has to be in attack mode to do so. That is why we didn't see it activate there. Nobody has anything to use, and Grapha comes back to the field from the banished pile, so there's 2 on the field now. Aster does have a Disc Commander, so that could potentially be really, really good for him. And although this has been an incredibly long duel, it's surprising me to realize that there's only 20 cards left in each player's deck. I thought it would be much lower, but the duel's going to get much more interesting, no doubt, because now we're going to see the Layer of Darkness activate on Bron's field. The Layer of Darkness will turn all monsters on the opponent, Aster's field, to Dark attribute if they weren't already. And whenever Brron gets to sacrifice a dark monster in order to use an ability, Layer of Darkness will allow him to sacrifice Aster's monsters. It can also put tokens on the side of the field of the person who had monster sacrifice during their turn. So we're going to see 2 sacrifices happen for the Darkest Diabolos normal summon here. Layer of Darkness is going to sacrifice the Doom Lord in order to use Darkest Diabolos' ability, which reads, your opponent places 1 card from their hand on the top or the bottom of the deck, and it looks like he chose to get rid of the Disc Commander. Now he's going to finally take some damage, big damage nevertheless. Darkest Diabolos with Grafa combined for a total of 5,700, leaving Aster with 1,800. And Brron gets 3 tokens, since a total of 3 monsters had contributed during his turn. Each token has 1,000 stats each way, and Aster's gonna end his turn without playing a single card, staring down another 5,700 damage potentially. Now, a token gets sacrificed to normal summon Silva, Warlord of the Dark World, adding more damage onto the board. We're going to see Dark Corridor activate here, throwing away Brow, the Huntsman of Dark World, which will allow him to draw a card when discarded. Diabolos attacks, and we're going to see D Fortune get activated. So when Aster gets attacked directly by banishing a D hero, the battle phase is now over. So there we go. It was a very beautiful response, if I do say so myself. And he drew into Defusion. Maybe that will be very amazing comeback play for him. We're going to see him first use D-Mine. Since he has no Destiny heroes on the field, he can summon a level 3 or lower one from the deck. Of course, Dark Smog's got to activate first, so there goes Dogma, and we see Disc Commander return from the bottom of the deck. Now we're going to see Fusion Destiny activate, throwing away the Captain Tenacious from the deck. I believe 2 Captain Tenacious in order to fusion summon Destiny Hero Dystopia with 2,800. And while there's a lot of things they could do, like attack over the Silva for game, before any of that, when Dystopia gets fusion summoned, you can target one of the monsters that was used for its summon and deal its attack points as damage to your opponent. So with 2 Captain Tenacious, Aster has won the match.